I'm asking you to keep an open mind and an open heart and listen to the actual truth.
We've talked about what a record is. The question is, why has this come up? Why is it that we have records management now? We've been functioning as an organization for years. Well, we know that the scene of this world is changing, and we know Satan's coming after us.
Deflection.
And he's going to go for us legally.
Shifting
we can
blame.
see by the way things are shaping up. So the organization has said, we've run into difficulties in the past because of the records we have.
Yeah, because you have CSA that you've been covering up and not handing over to authorities, and you've been caught.
Like most departments, you get the questions, you go through, you create a draft, and you think it looks really good, you pass it by, or someone in your department passes it by you as the overseer, and you look at it and say, no, change this, change that. Well, you do a few drafts, and if you're like Justin and I, that goes around quite a few times. We look at all those that were not approved, all these drafts, and we get rid of all drafts. And the reason is because there's many comments that are sometimes made on drafts. Those are the ones that get us in trouble.
Yeah. There's been a lot of handwritten notes that have gotten them caught covering up allegations of CSA.
A record can be a film or a video, but I also mentioned handwritten notes. Now, sometimes we think, well, handwritten note, how important can that be? Well, we found out they're very important. Just a few years, not a few years, well, it's quite a few years ago now, we used to deal with a company. We bought a particular product from them. We hadn't dealt with them in 20 years. Well, that company got into litigation. So that company, in their records, said they dealt with Watchtower. Now, this was in the United States, so right away they come to Watchtower, which is Bethel. That's how they know us in New York City. So they come here and ask us, do we have anything in our records? Now, if we do, then we're connected to their litigation. Is how it works. But if we don't, then the legal world says, well, we have in no way can prove that you were ever dealing with them.
So they can cover
up. They just
up
say that.
The truth.
So they came to Bethel and they checked all the records and they couldn't find anything, but it was determined it would be appropriate to meet with some of those that were there at the time. They asked a few different ones. No, nobody had any records of it. They asked one brother and he said, oh, yes, I do. And he was in his top drawer. He pulled out and he had a handwritten note. So that handwritten note tied us back to litigation and cost us a few $100,000.
Because it was true.
So are handwritten notes just as important? Yes, they are.
Because this
we
is
want to be very careful and cautious how we handle our records, even if we think they're insignificant.
Exactly.
The difficulty is it's happened more than once. So that's why we have this systematic program that we're putting in.
It's happened repeatedly because you have a lot of written allegations about CSA that you will not hand over